Welcome to Conversations with the Candidates. I'm Thor Jourgensen, City Editor of the Daily Item. Today we have Rick Starbard, School Committee man and candidate for City Councilor-at-large. Welcome, Rick. Tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you, Thor. It's great to be here. I've lived in Lynn all my life. I went to school at Lynn Tech, graduated the auto body program in 1981. 2 years later, at 19, I began my own company, Rick's Auto Body, which is now Rick's Auto Collision and Service in Revere, a business that's been growing ever since then. I spent 13 and a half years as a teacher at Lynn Tech in the collision repair program, beginning in 1996, and in that time, with my co-workers, one of whom I graduated high school with, we grew that program into one of the top collision repair training programs in the state, with national certifications and state-of-the-art equipment. Because my business was growing, we added some components to it. I needed to get back to it on a full-time basis. So I decided to run for school committee to add that perspective of being a technical education person to the school committee, because I thought that perspective was lacking at a time when programs were being closed. So I was successful in '09, being elected my first time out, and in that time we were able to get some of those programs reinstated, especially the machine shop program. It's something I'm pretty proud of. And as a matter of fact, Tech just got their Chapter 74 recertification for that program 2 weeks back. So it's something I'm pretty proud of with that. In my time on the school committee, I've kind of focused a lot on tech, but other issues as far as needing to replace our aging schools. As you know, Marshall is about to open, but it'll be almost 20 years from the time we opened Classical and the time we opened Marshall, and we can't go 20 years between replacing our schools. Now we've been invited in the pipeline with Pickering and all, but we still need to fund our portions of it. So looking at that, looking at the net school spending issues and our inability to level fund all departments, it made me look at what's lacking here, and it's our commercial tax base. And again, I look at the makeup of the city council and I see the perspective of the business person is missing. I'm a commercial property owner, I've been a long-time business owner, and so that's what prompted me to run for city council, to try to make a difference in that regard and bring that perspective to the table. I've been married to my wife Lois for 29 years now, and together we have two beautiful daughters. My daughter Jessica graduated. Both my kids went to Lynn schools, Sisson, Pickering, English. Jess graduated in '09, graduated from Northeastern University, and she's a television sports anchor in Indiana, doing quite well. My youngest daughter Steph graduated Lynn English in 2012, and she's in her senior year at Bridgewater State University. Extremely proud of both my girls, and also proud of the education that they both received in the Lynn public school system. During my time in business, I've always been heavily involved in my industry, always trying to make a difference there. So I've served many years on the board of directors of the Mass Auto Body Association, which is now the Alliance of Automotive Service Providers. I was the past national president of the Alliance of Automotive Service Providers, which is one of the largest automotive trade associations in the country. I'm past president of their Massachusetts affiliate. I'm still on the board of directors there. I was recently appointed to the Auto Damage Appraisers Licensing Board by Governor Baker. He had 4 appointments to that board, 2 that make up the collision industry, 2 that represent the insurance industry. And together, we work on the regulations and the licenses, basically, that govern every automotive insurance claim in Massachusetts. In the community, I've always been heavily involved in tech. I owe everything that I have to the education, the foundation of skills that I received at Lynn Tech. So it's always, it has a special place in my heart. So I've been on the advisory board at various times. Before I was teaching, I was on the collision advisory board. Now that I'm no longer teaching, I'm back on the advisory board. I've been on the Lynn Tech Alumni Association Board of Directors since it began in the early 90s, and we've done some great work there with a great group of people. I'm president of the board of directors of the Lynn Youth Street Outreach Advocacy, also known as Lysoa, the big tall guy with the Yankee hat that walks around and
Antonio.
Yeah, Antonio, and works with a lot of the gang kids and kids that are referred to us through the juvenile court system to try to turn their lives around, and that's been a rewarding experience as well. I'm a member of the Lynn Chamber of Commerce. I have been for quite some time. I'm on the board of trustees of Grace United Methodist Church, and one of the things that I've liked about being on the school committee is it gets you to become involved and let you see, invite you in to see a lot of the other things that go on in the city in different groups and all. And in fact, when I got elected, I didn't even know they paid you until after I was elected. So, receive a monthly stipend check, and so this has afforded me the ability to basically give the majority of that back to the community and sponsor the many, great organizations that help, especially Lynn Youth, throughout the city, and it's something I hope to continue to be able to do as a member of the City Council.
What is the biggest issue facing the city, Rick?
Well, the number one reason that I decided to run is, I looked around and I see so much commercial property still vacant, and I've always thought that every time people look to invest in Lynn, especially commercially, it seems to be when we're at the crest of a rise in the economy. It happened in the late 80s. It happened in the last economic upturn, and it seems when people start looking at Lynn, it's when things become too expensive in Somerville and Cambridge and every place else, and then they look at Lynn just as the economic wave's about to crash. And I look at the issues that we have. We have the net school spending issue. We have the need to build new schools and city infrastructure. In order to meet the net school spending mandate, there's been cuts to police, to fire, to public works, and it's all being balanced on their backs because the school funding issue is a mandate. We need to be able to go out and bond to replace our aging schools, and the only way that we're going to be able to do that successfully is to expand our commercial tax base. And we have to catch this wave at the bottom now, and I think the city is much better poised this time around than it was in recent times, more recent upturns in the economy, to bring that investment in. But we have to be competitive. We have to be competitive with other communities to bring people in. I made the point at one of the debates on this very subject, and I said, I think it was about linkage agreements, and I was explaining why I was against them. I said because it puts us at a competitive disadvantage, and all the other candidates were in favor of them. Well, it puts us at a competitive disadvantage because we're already there with our commercial tax base. Lynn has the 12th highest commercial tax base in the state. And I had said if I moved my commercial property that's in Revere 1 mile up the street to the Lynn side, it would cost me over $7,000 in additional property taxes. And that's not a huge piece of property. So we can't put all these deterrents up to keep people from investing in the city. I think that, as I looked around at the city council, and it's certainly not to take anything away from anybody, just like it wasn't on the school committee, but that business perspective isn't there. And not that I think everybody should be a business person, but I think that at a time when everybody agrees that one of the largest issues facing the city is the expansion of our commercial tax base, I think that at least one of our at-large city councilors should be a business person.
As a councilor at large, what do you feel you could do to make sure the city catches that economic wave early enough?
It's being proactive. I think that we should be taking a look at the need of hiring a city planner, using some of the resources that are out there. I think we should be signing on to the governor's community compact to help us streamline our processes, to share information with other communities on how they do things well, so we can take from them what they do well, they can take from us what we do well, and also signing that agreement gives you priority status in any state grants. I think we should be reaching out to some of the biotech companies that are in Cambridge and all. You know, I heard the plan for the gear plant site of the Linway is housing. You know, I expressed this at the Chamber of Commerce meeting when the owner of that property came in, and I you know, said I always thought that should stay more on the commercial side. You know, number one, it generates more commercial taxes than it does certainly as residential, and I think that that's the best place for it. You know, it's still adjacent to the GE. It's adjacent to a train station that hopefully they'll get open. I hear he's, you know, got a little pushback from the T as far as opening that train station. I think we need to get that opened up regardless what goes there. But we need to send the message out loud and clear that we're business friendly, that we're going to be competitive, and we're going to help businesses that want to move into the city and create jobs.
Why should someone vote for you?
Again, it's perspective. You know, being a politician was never my goal. I'm just not, you know, that way. My wife hates it. But I want to help, and I love the city, and I want to see the city grow. I mean, again, going back to my own education, everything that I have, and I've been, you know, I consider successful, and I owe that to, again, to Lynn Tech. I think the education that my kids received in Lynn is going to take them to great places. My wife's a lifelong Lynn resident, and I don't want to leave here. And when it's all said and done, and you know your time is done, I want to be able to say I helped make a difference in the city of Lynn, and to remove all the stereotypes that exist, and to invite people in and see what a great place this is.
Thank you, Rick Starbard, candidate for City Councilor-at-large. I'm Thor Jourgensen, City Editor of the Daily Item. This has been Conversations with Candidates. Please read the Daily Item and itemlive.com for more election coverage. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Thor.
Always a pleasure.